wanted to do something a little bit different for this video, and specifically I wanted to talk about the state of AI for businesses in 2026. Listen, it's June, it's going into July here, and one of the things that I started to notice is that there's so many people selling Fugazi when it comes to AI. And there's so many people who are like, hey, is anybody even really actually making money with AI? Is this valuable? What's happening? Now that the dust has kind of settled with some of this stuff, you start to see that there's a lot of gimmicks and there's a lot of flashy things, but there's not a lot of people actually doing anything with AI. I'm a part of several little masterminds and groups where AI is brought up all day, every day, and people are like, I built this cool thing, and I built that cool thing, and check out my fancy dashboard that doesn't do anything, and I built an 82 node N8N workflow that gives me a YouTube title, and I don't even do YouTube. Look, there's a lot of bullshit that's out there, and I want to kind of clarify here because I've always made it my mission in life to go out and understand a subject and be able to teach it to someone in a very specific way where anybody can understand it, and not only understand it, but take action on it. So listen to me. Today, I just want to go over, there's only 9 things that you can sell in the AI space and 9 things that you really need in your business, but you probably don't need all 9 of them. So today, let's go over all 9 of these things and just really have a discussion about how does AI actually get used in your business. So first and foremost, when I teach AI to these people who are learning how to sell AI to businesses, I start with this big lesson of, look, we're not product pushers, we're problem solvers. And there's so many people right now who are trying to shove go high level down your throat, or chatbots down your throat, or voice bots, or anything like this, where it's like, buy my tool, buy this installation, buy this thing, without ever asking the question, do you even need it? So the first and foremost thing when we're looking at is not just what's the product, but what's the problem I'm trying to solve. I mentioned this in other videos as well. There's a lot of, 93% of all AI projects and big companies are failing because they're trying to automate something before even clarifying what it actually is. So there's no strategy behind their stuff. There's no plan. It's just like, we need to use AI because our shareholders tell us we need to use AI. And if we use AI, our stock price will go up and we can fire more people. It'll be great. How the heck does this even work? Well, first and foremost, let's talk about these chatbots. Because a lot of people are like, you need a chatbot on your website. You need a chatbot on your social media. You need a chatbot in your email. And sometimes they might be right, but the problem a chatbot solves is too many messages. Too many text messages, too many WhatsApp messages, too many emails, too many social media messages. At the end of the day, unless you have a lot of traffic inbound where people are asking questions and sending you messages, there's no point for a chatbot. You know, I got to tell you how many websites I see now with the chatbot in the bottom right. There's a little bubble. You can click on it. You can talk to the AI, but for what reason? There's not a reason. Unless you have a product that needs questions or inquiries or something along those lines, there's just no point. I got my good buddy Bobby, who owns a business called Business Anywhere. And if you check out businessanywhere.io, it's really cool. It allows you to set up your LLCs and get a registered agent and virtual mailboxes and stuff like that. The guy's got 40, 50, 60,000 unique visitors every single month, and they go to that website, they got a ton of questions. Man, what state should I register in? Is this virtual mailbox? How does this work? What's going on? So a chatbot makes all the sense in the world for a guy like him. But for most people, when they're trying to register for a webinar, they're trying to pitch a product or a coaching course or whatever, there's just like, they've got 3 unique visitors every single month. There's no reason. If you've got no traffic to your website, there's 0 reason to have a chatbot. Now, the other side is social media. If you don't post on social media, what's the point of having a chatbot in your social media? And look, I've been just as guilty as the next person, but one thing that is really effective in the marketing space is if you're posting consistently on social media and you're asking, the call to action is like, DM me or message me this thing to get this freebie or to get a discount or to get a coupon code or to register for a webinar, whatever it is. If you're asking for that call to action right there, ManyChat can respond to most of these messages right then and there and answer questions and direct them to the right place and send them links and collect their name and phone number and email, whatever information you need to turn them from a prospect to a lead. That's what a chatbot really should be for. But a chatbot is only useful, again, if you've got inbound traffic and if you got inbound messages, because otherwise it's kind of pointless. I mentioned in the last video, we talked about this company that did the big billboards, right? About, don't stop, replace all humans. It was a company that was selling AI chatbots that were basically outbound spam bots, business to business, B2B. And they were these interesting little things. It's just pointless. It's stupid. You want to spam, your other potential customers and leads, just buy my software, buy my software. It doesn't make a lot of sense. So chatbots are inbound. Same thing with voice bots. Now, there's a lot of realtors I know, and at this point, I've spoken to hundreds of thousands, without exaggeration, realtors, where I taught, Tony Robbins classes or sales classes or marketing classes to Century 21 and Keller Williams and Remax and EXP and Fathom Realty. You name the company, I've been there. I've done a bunch of stuff for them. And all of these realtors want to do the lazy route of, I want a voice agent to reach out and cold call every single one of these people to try to get me listings. Not only is that probably illegal, I'm sure there's some loopholes inside of there, but number two, nobody wants that. Nobody wants to deal with that. Nobody wants to talk about it. Nobody wants to deal with an AI person to do that. It's kind of a stupid move. So I would suggest, again, voice bots inbound does make sense. Now, they're only okay. They're not great. They can't answer every question that a human being would have. They can't really direct things. They can't think on their toes or think on their feet, I guess is the proper saying. I'll give you a good example. I'm searching for a new place to live now, different apartments, townhomes and stuff. Every single place that we call is a voice agent answering the phone. And they can't just do something as simple as, hey, look, I'm seeing a place at 4 o'clock. I know we have an appointment at 4:15. I'm probably going to be a couple minutes late. Would it be all right if we push our appointment back to 4:25? Would it be all right if I'm 10 minutes late? And the voice bot is just going to answer in black and white. No, we cannot do that. We can reschedule your appointment for 6 p.m. Well, I can't make it at 6 p.m. Is it okay if we're just a couple minutes late? Is it a big deal? It can't do that. So voice bots are great. However, they do have some limitations. Again, we're not just shoving voice bots down someone's throat. And if you're the business who wants a voice bot to answer the phone for you, a couple things you need to know is, one, they're only okay. Number two, it's going to answer very basic questions. But three, you need to make sure it's set up in a way that it answers the call, collects the information, and passes it on to the next person as fast as humanly possible. So there's a lot of things that you can do, but again, if your business doesn't get a lot of inbound calls, voice bots are kind of pointless. So that's two things that might be pointless for your business right out of the gate. So chatbots and voice bots. And that's what you hear all over YouTube, all over Google, all over Facebook, Instagram, whatever. Check out our voice bots. It's kind of pointless. Look, if you're a realtor, nobody calls you. Nobody wants to call you. Look, I'm a marketing guy, I'm a sales guy. Nobody wants to call me either, so don't feel bad. But in this case, there's no reason for you or I to have a voice bot. Now, number three is lead generation. And this one is very interesting because AI does two things really well. Number one, it parses data really well. So it can go out and do lead scraping for you. And there's a lot of services that do lead scraping in particular. But what it can help you do is to identify who are your best buyers for your product or service. And you could have a conversation with Claude or ChatGPT or Gemini and go through like, who really would be the type of people that I want to work with and who do I not want to work with, so I can really identify what's going on there. Now, there's so many opportunities in the lead generation space because still today in 2026, there are businesses who pay for lists of leads, and there's a lot of them. I mean, hell, maybe you want to do that in your business. Maybe you want to pay for a list of leads. You don't have to pay for it. You can go to tools like Appify.com. You can go to tools like InfoUSA was the one that I used. They got bought out years ago. But I would use that one back in the day for my karate school, where I would look for a list of homeowners in the area who had kids in the household. You know, they do it based on the census data or whatever data broker that they stole it from. Why? They would send me this list and I would mail them a postcard. Hey, do you want to try out martial arts for the summer? Hey, do you want to try this? Hey, check out better grades for the kids, better confidence, more discipline, more respectful children, whatever it is. And, you know, some of these people would come in and they'd see the little postcard, they get it mailed to their house and they come in and try it. So that was a good way to use lead generation for me at the karate school. For you, you know, I don't know what business you're in here as you're watching this silly YouTube video, but I'll tell you, back in Minnesota, we would have these big summer storms. You know, we'd get a lot of tornadoes. We'd get hail once in a while. And the roofers would always try to follow the storms. And it would try to see where this hail damage was so they can call the homeowners to see, hey, do you need some roof repair inside of your house? Because I know we just got this hailstorm. Check this out. How cool would it be if they could time it perfectly that hail damage comes through the next morning, they get a little postcard that says, hey, do you have hail damage? Do you want us to come do an inspection for you and come check this out? Now, today's age, you can do that. You can literally scrape the information of the neighborhood of the homeowners in that particular neighborhood, but you can also cross-reference that with weather data, and you can check this with Claude or ChatGPT or Gemini once again, and you can say, hey, which houses are most likely to have hail damage? I want to be able to send them a postcard. I want to be able to give them a phone call. Now, again, you got to be careful of the laws, right? You can't necessarily cold call consumers directly. There's a lot of rules and laws that are popping up against that, and the fines are really hefty. So I wouldn't recommend that you just spam people and be a dick, right? But there are intelligent ways to do lead generation for any business that's out there. So think about that when we talk about AI. You can use it to parse the data out, to figure it out, to organize it, and put it in a list, and then even use it to create some sort of marketing campaigns for you. They're not going to be perfect, but they'll be better than nothing. They'll be better than what you had in the past, which is probably nothing, right? So lead generation is really big in the AI space. And, you know, there's a great book, if you've never read it, by a man named Chet Holmes. I got to work with him for like 2 days before, unfortunately, he passed away. But the guy was brilliant. He wrote the book, The Ultimate Sales Machine, and he talks about the best buyer strategy. And one of the things that he brought up, he told a story way back in the day about his favorite restaurant, and it was in a hotel. Nobody knew it was there. So he said, who are your best buyers? You're people like me who live in this neighborhood. Let's just mail everybody in that neighborhood a postcard for a free dinner and have them all come out here. And now everyone, the restaurant was always full after that. So anyways, check out the book, The Ultimate Sales Machine. That's a great one. But now the next thing is customer support bots. Now this one is massive. I think in the AI space, customer support bots are really important, and I think almost everybody should have them. If you have customers, you should have a support bot that answers frequently asked questions and elevates support tickets to the right people. Look, if you've ever sold anything to anybody, you probably have had someone reach out to you. I don't know how to use this product. Where is my product? What's the order status? What's the delivery status? You've probably got these questions. And you can have a chatbot. Now, a chatbot and a customer support bot seem very similar on the surface, but if you're running a business, you got to know that the customer support bot needs to have customer data. It needs to have, you know, delivery status, order status, all of those things. And you got to be careful to protect that data to make sure it doesn't get leaked and you can't get prompt injected. Maybe that's a conversation for another day. But a customer support bot is insanely valuable. I don't know if you knew this, but statistically speaking, 52% of businesses never respond to a single customer support email. 52% of all customers, right, or companies. That's ridiculous. That's insane. Have you ever tried to get customer support from Facebook? You know, the shittiest customer support you've ever had, and they're like $1 trillion company, right? And try to get support from Google. Try to get support from any of these large mega corporations. You just never will. How do we stand out as small businesses? We have better customer support. You talk about shopping locally. Most of the time we want to shop locally because we know who we're going to deal with. We know who we're going to talk to. And they might not have the best prices, the best selection, but they sure as hell should have the best service. And you and I need to have customer support bots to answer questions, to walk people through how to use the product, to be able to help them. And again, elevate the customer support ticket to the next level. If you're a software company, as an example, one thing you don't want to do is pay a whole bunch of money for a really smart software engineer or developer to answer really stupid ass questions, right? You want those people to only answer the questions that need them instead of, oh, did you try turning it off and on again, right? Did you remove your, did you refresh your cache? You don't want your really intelligent, highly paid software engineers to answer those questions. So you want a customer support bot to answer the basic questions, point people in the right direction. And if it still doesn't answer, then you elevate it to the right people. So those people can focus on other things that actually make the business real money. So customer support bots are insanely valuable in today's age. Next up is content generation. This one's fascinating. I just got a note today that was really funny from one of my friends. And I wrote a big long post on Facebook and I posted it on Instagram and everything. And it was kind of silly, but I was calling out one of these big trades with the SpaceX IPO and all this good stuff. I thought it was completely unfair that the retirees are getting jumped into this and being forced to buy this in index funds when they didn't request it. Another conversation for another day. But my friend, she was like, well, this is a great opinion, but if this was your opinion, why was this AI? AI. Funny thing is, it wasn't AI at all. I wrote that post on my phone as I was on my walk over in the park, and she thought it was AI. I guess I should take that as a compliment, right? I'm a pretty good writer then. If it sounds like AI, my grammar is on point. Yeah, right. But anyways, the reason I say this is because if you have products or services to promote on the internet these days, which social media platform should you be on? The short answer is all of them, right? Because where do people find your product and services? Do they find them on your favorite social media platform or their favorite social media platform? If you hate TikTok and you don't want to be on TikTok, the consumer doesn't give a shit. They don't care. They're not going to switch from TikTok to YouTube just because you don't like TikTok to find your products and services. So the fact is, in 2026, 2027 and beyond, you're going to have to be on every social media platform, at least in the most basic sense, so people can find and discover your products and services on their favorite social media platform. But that's hard. It's difficult. You know, there's 8 or 9 social media platforms at any given time that actually matter. And for you to be able to create enough content for each one of these, like, it's a full-time job for 10, 15, 20 freaking people. You know, I love Gary Vaynerchuk. I'm a huge fan of him. And he always says, look, I posted 412 times yesterday. Well, dude's got 50 people who just post content all day, every day. So it's a lot of work for you and I. Either if you're a business owner who wants to use social media, you can use ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini to help you create basic content to get it posted. Because once again, something is better than nothing and done is better than perfect. I don't recommend you stay there. You shouldn't just crank out shitty AI generated content. You should continuously get better, but you got to post something. You got to be present. If you're not on Instagram, you got to get on Instagram. If you're not on Facebook, you got to be on Facebook. And a lot of people argue with me that are like, well, Steven, my customer is not on Facebook. Well, that's just not true. There's 3 billion users on Facebook. Clearly, that's like, you know, a third of the world's population is on Facebook. Of course, your customer is on Facebook. Don't trick yourself into thinking that your customer's not there. There's 2 billion unique Instagram users, right? So at the end of the day, yes, your customer is on those social media platforms and you need to be there too. So content generation is really good. And I'll just give you a quick tip. What I like to do is use one of the AI tools, LLMs, whatever, ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini. There are others that are built better for content generation who have been trained on what is the best kind of content and how does social media really work well, instead of just like taking every garbage piece of content and trying to regurgitate it. You can use things like I've got a friend and mentor and coach for the last 20 years. I guess I can call him a friend these days. But Frank Kern has a little program called ojoy.ai. I use that quite a bit because it gives me a lot of good hooks and ideas and different things for social media content. And what it will do is it'll interview you on your business and what do you want to do and what's the most important thing and answer questions, all that good stuff. So content generation is good that way. If you're not a graphic designer, I would take that content, I would go to somewhere like Etsy and just look for social media packs that you can use and kind of edit and go into Canva and create your own social media content that way. So regardless, you need to have content on social media. And for every business, it doesn't matter if you're a plumber or a roofer or a dentist or you're a content creator or you're, you know, a coach or consultant. I don't care what you are. You got to be on social media these days because that's where all the traffic is. So if your business has any hopes of surviving and thriving in the next couple of years, you got to be present. You got to be active. It would be like in the olden days, having a local business in a city and not having a sign out front, right? It sounds so silly, but you got to be on every social media platform. Next up is reputation management. When we talk about reputation management, it's interesting because I'm not a big fan myself, but I realize how much I use reputation or reviews as a base or a judge of where I would live, what services I would use, what restaurants I would go to. And there's so many people who look at reviews before they go to a restaurant. They look at reviews before they choose a dentist. They look at reviews before they go to the chiropractor. They want to know. And I think these next 12 months are going to be the, 2026, 2027, give or take. We're going to start to see businesses go out of business because either a bad online reputation or worse, no online reputation. You don't know if you can trust a business when they've got 1 review and it's 5 stars. Or hell, they got 5 reviews and they're all 5 stars, right? You don't know if you can trust that business. You know they're all fake. But if you see a company that's got like 1,300 reviews and, a 4.1 star review or a 3.9, it's going to be at least halfway decent. You know there's going to be some crazies in there. You know there's going to be some people in those reviews that are like, have a logical reason why it wasn't very good for them or wasn't a good experience or whatever. But for every single business these days, we've got to find a way to get reviews. Now, again, I mentioned this earlier, but I'm looking for a new place to live, and we've been searching all over the place. And I look at the reviews of some of these apartments. I look at the reviews of the property management. I look at the reviews and how is it? How was it for people? And of course, you go to the 1-star reviews and you're like, oh yeah, this was a crazy person. They were an idiot. They were insane. And you look at some of the 3 and 4-star reviews. That's a good point. That makes sense. So anyways, the reason I bring this up is because you as a business owner, you got to pay attention to your online reputation. If you're a local business, you just have to. And one of the things that AI does really well is help us to automate, whether asking for reviews, reminding people to leave reviews, and then responding to the reviews. Because imagine someone took the time out of their day to actually leave your review and just nobody responds. Like, that's kind of shitty, right? You got to be able to respond to them, and you should do it heartfelt. And if there is a problem, you should jump in and fix it so you can actually do that. Hey, listen, I went to this restaurant and I found a bunch of hair in my pizza. You know, it was kind of gross. You know, it was still good pizza, but it was just the hair was kind of gross, and I got to leave them 3 stars. The manager should jump in there and say, holy shit, let's fix this. Let's have that never come back in for dinner on us. Let us fix this situation. And we fired Tommy, who has long hair. You know, we got rid of it. It's like, you got to do something with your online reputation. And that matters in today's age, right? Next up is onboarding. And I got a couple more advanced ones here for you. So hopefully this is still helpful and I'm not just rambling. Onboarding is another unique way to use AI in today's world. And onboarding is really important for a company who has high refund rates, because most people don't refund a product or service because it was a bad product or service. They refund because it was a bad experience. And what I mean by that is they didn't know how the product was used. They didn't show up on time. They had questions that never got answered. Maybe they weren't using it effectively, whatever it was, but they just had a bad experience with the product. And onboarding is one way that we can send videos and instructions, and we can do all sorts of stuff that just automates that piece instead of them calling a support phone number, instead of them reaching out on a direct message or an email or something like something. There is an automated online response that creates a unique experience for them. And we can do that. But you know what's funny? It's the same thing on the hiring space. Now, you probably, if you're watching this YouTube video, you probably don't hire the amount of people that AI would be helpful for, because look, you got to be able to hire like hundreds of people for AI to be helping you with onboarding. But let me explain a couple things. Number one, my sister works for a big energy firm and she's an accountant. And there was a while back, they were looking for number 6 in their accounting division. And they got 3,000 job applications for one role. Now, there's a lot of things to unpack here, but imagine you're the hiring manager, you're the HR manager trying to parse through 3,000 applications to hire for one job position. Like, what are you supposed to do? There's no freaking way you can physically read every CV, every resume. And I know there's a lot of people who are upset right now that they're applying for jobs and they're getting AI automated responses. And yeah, it's kind of shitty, but put yourself in the other shoes for a second. Like, how do you deal with that many resumes? AI can help you to intake those forms, score them, rank them, and tell them like, hey, here's the top 20 candidates you should interview. And again, I'm not here to sell you one way or the other. It is a little unfair, but that's the world we live in these days, because how are you supposed to manage 3,000 applications? How are you even supposed to respond to 3,000 people who applied for one job position? You just physically can't. And one thing that I'll note here is a company, I didn't come up with this definition. I don't know who did, so I can't give you full credit. But the definition of a bad hire is someone who comes into a business and they get trained up and they start on there, they start working on the job, and then leave before 12 months is up. Why 12 months? Because usually it takes 12 months for an employee to even get up to 100% speed, where they know where things are, who to ask questions to, where to get things done. Even if they've got a PhD in that job role, they don't know what your business is like. They don't know what that company is like. So there's a lot of questions. There's a lot of problems. There's a lot of challenges. So they're never really fully effective as an employee until after the first year, and maybe even longer than that. But a bad hire, they've done the research that shows a bad hire costs a company 11 times their annual salary. 11 times. Like, that's wild, right? You hire someone for 100 grand and they leave before 12 months. That just costs that company $1.1 million in opportunity loss and hours wasted with other people training them and all sorts of onboarding, whatever it is. It's wild. It's crazy. But what that means, once again, is I don't think most people leave because it's a bad place to work. Sure, that's certainly possible, but most people, I think they leave is because they feel a lack of confidence, a lack of certainty. They don't have a good experience when they join the company because they weren't onboarding properly, right? And I'm not talking the onboarding of like complete your sexual harassment course. That's not onboarding. That's just the typical HR bullshit. I'm talking about here's who you ask questions to. Here's where you can get the information you need. Here's how to feel confident. Here's how to respond to the customers about this. Here's where to find that. That's a proper onboarding where you can get people up to speed, not just like SOPs that are like 100 pages long, but imagine each employee came in and they had like their own customer success or onboarding success bot that told them, like, here's where to find these documents. Here's where to log in. Here's the softwares we use. Here's the things. Like, that would be much better, like an interactive SOP versus just like read this 800-page employee manual. Nobody's going to freaking read that thing, right? So you can create a better experience when someone joins your company by creating those onboarding bots or SOPs or whatever that are interactive. So I don't know, just a couple of random thoughts and ideas when it comes to onboarding, but that's a massive problem for larger companies. And then if you're a smaller company like me, onboarding for your customers, onboarding for your clients, like here's what to do next. Step 1, step 2, step 3. Here's how to have a great experience with your new product, with your new service. Next up, automated invoicing. And this might sound so stupid and so overly simplistic, but I know I'm a marketing agency. I've always been a marketing agency, consulting agency, whatever the hell you want to call it. But I'm just as guilty as the next person. There's times that I send my invoices late, like 2 weeks late, a week late, or whatever. I just got busy doing other stuff because I go into Canva and I change the invoice and I change the numbers and I change the dates and I double check and I send it out. That should be automated. We're in 2026. We're in the future, man. We should be able to automate our invoices for people. And we should make sure that if someone doesn't pay their invoice, it should have an automated reminder to send out to people. I can't tell you the amount of people who, A, don't use the software to do invoices, and B, don't automate invoicing to their customers, C, don't have reminders if someone doesn't pay on time. All of these things are really important for a business because otherwise we run into cash flow issues. We run into challenges and problems. So once again, I'm just as guilty as the next person, but for all of us, we need to make sure that we automate invoicing. Whether we're selling this to a business or we're helping them with their cash flow issues and operations, or we have our own business, there's no reason we shouldn't have automated invoicing. Last one is the hiring, and we already kind of mentioned this before, but you should be able to have something that when someone joins a business, you should have that onboarding SOP process. Or number 2, you should be able to figure out who's the right person to hire. What should we ask for? What should we do? What are the tasks we need them to do? So you can create a whole hiring package before you even look for someone in a job role. And I think that's really important now for the big companies who are laying people off and then rehiring. Big mistake, by the way. Or the small companies like you and I who are like, before we hire someone, because that could put a lot of small businesses out of business. You're hiring before you know what to do. And a lot of us who are small businesses, man, we suck at hiring. We suck at asking interview questions. We suck at it. Look, let's just admit it, right? You're a 1-person, 2-person, 3-person landscaping company and you need to hire another person. Like, you don't know who to hire. You don't know who to talk to. You're building out a website business, an e-commerce business. Like, you don't know who to hire for a web designer. You don't know what questions to ask and all these good things. So AI can really help you in this aspect, but it's an interesting world. This is not going away anytime soon. And again, right, wrong, or indifferent, it is kind of an asshole thing to do. And I can feel you. If you're looking for a job right now and you're out there trying to get hired and you're submitting your resume to 100 people a week and 100 different businesses and you're not getting a single response that's not a human being, like, dude, super frustrating. And I can tell on the other side too, it's frustrating for the business owner to be like, look, I got 500 applications. I don't even know where to start. I don't know what to do. Now, let's separate the small business owner from the big corporations because screw those guys. But, for those of you who are looking for work in smaller companies and medium-sized companies that are trying to get at their family-owned whatever, we got to find a different way to cut through the noise. And I don't know what the answer is quite yet. But these are the 9 things that we're talking about in the AI space. These are the things that actually make a difference in the world right now, in the AI world. This is what makes money, saves time. Is it going to change over the next couple of years? God, I hope so. But at the same time, I don't know where it's going to go from here. So Anyways, hopefully this just wasn't one big long ramble and rant. Hopefully you got something out of this. And if you did, come hang out with me some more often. Drop some comments in there and drop some notes, because I've been really liking these interactions when I get through these videos and I see people commenting. Some of you are just telling me to go to hell. That's great too. But leave me a comment. Let me know what you think, and let's have another conversation.